you and I have spent years warning people.
Yep.
And this is one of those situations where it is no fun to have been right. And I don't think anybody's done more work around Citizens United than you have, Tom. And here we are.
Yeah.
Billionaires just purchased American democracy to smash it up and deliver us to authoritarianism, and it's nothing nice.
You've been writing over at bylinesupplement.com, another one of your newsletters. You've been writing about reading extensively some of the historical writings from the rise of the Third Reich. You mentioned Bella Fromm's Berlin Diary, Dorothy Thompson's Harper's Magazine essay, The Gravediggers by Rudiger Barth and Hawk Fredericks. What are you learning? What parallels do you see that actually might apply to today? I realize some parallels don't, but what are the main things that you're seeing?
I think that there is this optimism in America that it can't happen here. People like you and I have been saying, yes, it can happen here. It can happen anywhere. And Bella Fromm, who was a Jewish reporter in Berlin in the 30s, initially writing about society. She happened to know a lot of diplomats, so she did a political column that was sort of a society column for diplomats. As she was observing the rise of this mob that surrounded Hitler, she began writing a diary that was separate from what she published. And she, warned people, everybody she could reach out to, yes, it can happen here. And when she finally fled to New York in the late 30s, she wrote a book that was published in 43, Blood and Banquets, and she opens with that. She's like, it can happen anywhere where you can get a mob together over fear and othering and then have them become your foot soldiers for fascism. And I turn to history because I'm always looking for ways out of our situation. And for me, when I started reading the Gravediggers book, which is about the last winter of the Weimar Republic, I end up writing half a dozen reports because you go down these rabbit holes. But one of the most important things for me was that the elite businessmen who put Adolf Hitler into power because they thought that he would be good for their bottom line, and to some degree, initially they were right. It didn't end well for them. So I thought, who are the elite businessmen in America who are betting on Trump, who think it's going to be so good for them, and maybe it will be for a while. But it's very important to note that those who prop up madmen, and in Hitler's case, a genocidal maniac, it doesn't end well for them.
Yeah, my dad was a book collector, and for my birthdays, he would very often give me books. And one that he gave me in my 20s was a first edition, which is worth a lot of money now, of Fritz Tyson's book, I Paid Hitler. And Fritz Tyson, of course, ran Tyson Steelworks. He was one of the probably 5 richest men in Germany, and he was the guy who put up the 3 million Reichsmarks to fund Hitler's campaign in '33. And basically brought him to power. And he thought that he was going to be in fat with Hitler, and he ended up having to flee the country with his family.
Yes, and he's a great example. There's a moment in Bella Fromm's diary, her Berlin Diary, Blood and Banquets, where she sees him on the dance floor with Hitler, and she's just so disgusted. She's disgusted that these people were basically bending to this, what Hitler's astrologer described as somebody who looked like an out-of-work, unemployed hairdresser. There are so many. I mean, the writing, when you go back to the 30s and 40s, there's a richness in the words that are used to describe these people. And that Hitler even had an astrologer, let alone a Jewish astrologer, was also quite remarkable. But she was disgusted to see the way these people were bending toward Hitler. And it's very important to note that there were about 40 elite businessmen, part of what was known as the Kepler Circle. And many of them were executed by hanging in Nuremberg, or they were bombed in their bunkers, or they committed suicide, or they did long periods of prison time, because they basically supported what, as we all know, is this genocidal regime. But more to the point of, I think, what is relevant to us today, in supporting the Nazis, what they were basically doing was, in the marginalizing, allowing and paying for essentially the marginalizing of people. They had all these fake studies, and it was all about being, the Aryan race. What they really did was they actually created a situation where Jewish owners of businesses had to then, because they weren't Aryan, and there was this Aryanization going on, they had to sell their businesses to these elite businessmen who bought them dirt cheap in order to profit. So when Charlie Chaplin in 1939 does The Great Dictator, and he says, greed has poisoned men's souls, that is what we are seeing, and why I wanted our readers and your viewers to have an opportunity to know that it's not just Elon Musk who propped up Trump into power. Yes, he's a big part of it, but there's 24 other billionaires who think that they're going to get their tax breaks or whatever as they, intend to profit off of Trump and Vance's regime. But I want them to know that it doesn't always end well for you guys who prop up these types of people. Sometimes it ends very badly. And I like to think about the line about the woman who was, face was eaten by a leopard because she voted for the, leopard eating faces party. It's kind of like that. Like, evil people often devour each other. And my goal in my writing is to make them think about what could possibly happen in case there might be a little bit of a, fear I can instill in reverse. Yeah. They created a mob through fear. Let's let them know that it doesn't always end well for the elite businessmen who prop up dictators.
Well, and even when it does end well, even when they get their wealth and their power and they hang on, I doubt that we'll be seeing Nuremberg trials at the end of the Trump administration, but still the just massive destruction of democracy and of the country, not a good thing.